So, I think we're live. I shall just wait for confirmation because the old producer is a bit slow off the mark sometimes. Yeah, cool. Okay, we are live. So, welcome back. Episode number 73 of the Tempest Rising podcast. Before we start, check out my my new socks from the Blue Cross. Nice little gift there, little dog socks. So yeah, if you ever decide you want to get me a gift, dog socks are the way forwards. So today we want to talk a little bit about this concept that most of us are guilty of at one time or another in our life, and it's this idea of I know that, but this idea that we know what to do and we may even know how to do it, but we get stuck there and we never actually do anything. My coach likes to call it being a yeah. You get told what to do and your response is yeah, I know. I like to call it being an information addict. Most of us decide that we want something. We may even go to the point of making a goal and getting a little bit of a plan together. We know we want it. We start to gather information around it. We start to try and understand how we can get it, what we need to do, what we need to know, what resources we need, what skills we need. We get all this information, but then we don't go beyond the information. It just becomes an information gathering expedition rather than an actual plan to get what we want. And at the moment, we live in this age of information. It's so easy to find out anything about everything. And most of the time you can get that for free. It's so easy to get all of this information, to access it whenever, wherever, however we want. But because of that, most of us get stuck and we become information addicts. We just keep collecting more and more information. And most of the time, it's because we're searching for, that magic pill, that magic bullet, that one thing that's going to make it easier for us to get what we want, to get where we want to go. When the reality of it is, there's an actual spectrum. Information is only one end of the spectrum. It's the start. In order to get what we actually want, we need to move down this spectrum away from information, away from the starting point, and then into something more substantial. Most people, though, they'll just stay in this information gathering stage. They may even go as far as hiring coaches and asking them, how do I do this? How do I get this thing? And your coaches will tell you. They might even show you. They'll give you everything you need. Some of them will. But the response is still, yeah, but I know that. So what comes next? Nothing. You go off, find another piece of information. You ask somebody else and they'll probably reiterate the same thing. And you say, again, yeah, I know that. So it's this constant search for more and more info until you get addicted. And that's all you know. I want something. I'm going to go find out how to do it. But until you actually move away from information gathering, then you're never going to move towards what it is that you really want. So there's a big difference between knowing something, knowing how to do something, doing it consistently, and then doing it well. And it's on this side of the spectrum, this side of things, that we actually start to see results. This is where things start to change. But unfortunately, most people never get there because they're so stuck over here in the information gathering piece. So most of you know, but for those of you who don't, I also teach martial arts. I've taught many things over the years: golf, swimming, martial arts. I've worked in, fitness and specialized in weight loss. But we all have this kind of similar experience as coaches. Within the martial arts, we have a whole range of students, from beginners who are white belts up to black belt level students. And you kind of have this transition period where they get to a brown belt, which is it's high up, it's high quality training. They've put a lot into it and they've gone through all these stages and they've got here and they're approaching their black belt level. And at this stage, they know a lot and they can do a lot, and they know that they know and they can do a lot. So we get them to go right back to the very beginning, right back to basics. But at their higher level, they then have to perform the basics with absolute perfection. So we go in this process, I'll ask them to do a jab, which is a very basic punch. It's the first one that we teach them as a white belt. And then you'll see them roll their eyes, and they'll give it the yeah, I know, because they do know. They know what to do. They know how to do it. But in that moment, they do not do it well enough. They do not do it to that level of perfection that we expect, because although they know how to do it, they know what to do, they're stuck in that information space. They've not moved along the spectrum enough to achieve that level of mastery that we expect in order for them to earn that black belt. So that's the difference from staying where they are to getting where they want to be. It's that bridging the gap, moving along the spectrum. On this end, we've got that knowing what you want, knowing how to do it. And then we've got the doing, which when they get to brown belt level, they are doing. Then they move into doing it consistently. Again, they're doing it consistently. But then we've got doing it well, doing it really well. And it's that area over here. That's where things start to happen. And there comes a point where it doesn't matter what you know. Knowledge means nothing unless you can do something with it. And sometimes you can get to a point where you know so much that you are paralyzed by that. Analysis paralysis. You've overloaded, you've weighed yourself down, you're over consuming this information, and you're using so much energy over here that there's nothing left for you on this side. But most people start to see better results when they just start to do something, when they take that information, just the tiniest piece of it, chuck the rest away, and just do that one simple thing, and doing it over and over and over again. Because when something is simple, then it's easier to do it consistently. And before long, if you're doing it consistently, you'll find that you're actually doing it really well. And then when you're doing something really well, you're going to get those results. So it's learning to move out of this space over here and into this space over here. And when we get these brown belt students understanding that, yes, they know how to do a jab, they know the ins and outs, they know what to do, and they can do it to a degree, but it's in doing it over and over and over again, irrespective of how boring it is, until they can finally do it really well. And then when you can do it really well, that's when you start to get that level of mastery. So hopefully this is making sense to you guys. Just drop a yes in the comments if this is making sense to you. It's that idea of, it's less about the breadth of your knowledge and is more about the depth. That's where mastery comes from, is going in deep and being able to do things really well, rather than being a jack of all trades, master of none. It's sinking things down and getting into that depth. So for most of us, we never reach that point because we're stuck in this knowing. But there are other levels inside of this. There are some other things that we need to think about, things that influence this. If we know all of this info, we know what to do, we know how to do it, to make the move into actually doing it, we need to know why we want to do it and why we want it. Okay, knowing that why is really important. It's our emotional fire. It's the thing that forces us out of information and into action and into doing. And it's the thing that keeps us going in this area of consistently doing, And then it's one of the things that will keep us going when consistency gets boring, and pushing past into that place where we can begin to do it well. So being good at something is usually preceded by being pretty bored of it. And we need a few things in place to keep us moving through that boredom. We need to understand why we want to do the thing that we want to do, why we want whatever it is that we want. And we need to get at least 5 layers deep in that, because for most of us, why we want something is usually really deep rooted inside of our emotions, and we need to draw that out. We need to dig a little bit, and eventually, if we get 5 layers down, we'll uncover our true emotional driving forces behind whatever it is that forced us to go out and find that information in the first place. And that'll be the thing that started you, and it'll be the thing that keeps you going. And it's the thing that moves you from information addiction into action and doing things. And sometimes we lose that along the way. We lose sight of it because we get so wrapped up in gathering all this information that we lose those emotional things. It becomes very much head-based rather than heart-based. So we need to get back into the heart. We need to be reminded of our emotional reasons. And, you know, that's a big difference maker for many people. When you know that emotional why, the doing comes a lot easier. And like we said, it's in the doing that we start to find results. But then beyond that, there's another factor. There's something underneath all of this, underpinning everything. And it's something that a lot of us say that we're missing. In my experience of coaching for many years, it's something a lot of people say they lack, which is support and community, and having that kind of baseline behind you, so that when things get bad, you've got something to fall back on. So we have what we want. We know how to get it. We know why we want it. We start doing it. We need that little bit of support to keep us going consistently, because most of us can start, you know, we can move beyond that information, but the consistency often eludes us because we need that little bit more. We need that support. We need that help of a community, because with anything in life, you're going to come across struggles. You're going to come across things that are not so easy. You're going to hit those roadblocks. You're going to stumble. Life's going to come and kick you in the ass. That's what happens. That's the way it is. And if you don't have that community and that deep-seated emotional why, then you're going to really struggle to keep going, to get back up and get back on a wagon and carry on. So it's not just a case of information. It's a case of going deeper, going beyond that. It's getting the information, knowing how to do it, why you want it, doing something with that, doing it consistently with the help of your community and your support, and then doing it really well. And then when you do that, that's when the results come. So it's a process. Information is only the start. So I'd have you think about where you're at. Think about something that you're working on right now, something that you want in your life, and then consider where you're at on the spectrum. Are you in this information piece, or are you actually moving your way along? What action is it that you can take to push yourself along that spectrum? And just let me know in the comments. Let me know where you're at. And if you do need a level of support and you need a bit of community, then you can hop into the Limitless group. It's full of ladies who are pursuing different things in their lives. If you type the word group below, then I will contact you and I'll drop you the link to join us. But just have a little think about where you're at right now in your life with the things that you're working on, and consider what you can do to move yourself along that spectrum towards the results that you want, and let me know. So that's everything for today. I'm gonna go put my dog socks on, and I'll see you all next week. Have a great day.